Mitch, what do you remember, I guess, the most about that previous game against Vegas?
Yeah, they played a lot quicker than us. We turned over the puck a lot, played above them a lot. So tonight we're going to make sure we try and get behind them a little more, stress their D, their goalie a little more, and get more pucks towards the net with more traffic.
Obviously, Sheldon making a change midway through that Carolina game, keeping Kerfoot with you guys. Why do you think you, Bunce, and Matthews haven't worked quite as well as last season?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said the other day, I think we're getting our chances. It's just, it's not going in right now, but you can't stress anything about it. You just got to realize that you're doing the right things. You're getting the chances. They're just not happening. So you just got to stay patient with it. Like I said, realize you're doing the right things, and eventually you get rewarded.
You and Auston play together pretty consistently. How do you prevent the chemistry from going stale? It feels like even the best lines kind of have stretches where it's not going in.
Yeah, well, like I just said, I mean, knowing you're doing the right things right, you're playing consistently hard every single night, and I think that we've been happy with our play. And like I said, I mean, we've been getting the opportunities, just haven't fallen yet. So for us, we realize that if we keep doing the right things, eventually they will fall.
What do you know about the new goalie?
Yeah, not much, to be honest, but obviously a great competitor. What he's done with the Marlies this year has been fantastic, and another great story that kids can look up to, so that's what it's all about.
I think I saw John's kids were here. I know when Bozak's kids were running around, they were kind of owning the place. Is it kind of similar with John's guys?
Yeah, Jason and Axe are great. They kind of just buzz around. Axe has got a lot of personality, and Jace seems a little more sit back, like his dad a little bit, but they're both great kids, both a lot of fun to have around the locker room, and bring a lot of joy.
What stands out to you the most about the way John's playing this season?
Just his effort every single night. His battle from every single face-off to D-zone to O-zone. He's getting himself in the right spots. He's not missing a lot of shots when he's getting them in that slot. So it's great for us as a team to see him rolling like that and feeling good.
What kind of leader, what kind of captain is he, like, in his demeanor?
Yeah, I mean, when something needs to be said, he says it. But other than that, really, I mean, you just see by his mentality is how he carries himself. He does the right things every single day. He takes care of himself. He's always looking out for his teammates. He's always checking in on people, so we're lucky to have him.
It looks like he's kind of shown you as in the group the way the last few games. What's clicked? What's made this team win again?
Just our compete, our consistency. Not giving up a whole lot off rushes, turning over pucks has been very minimal for us, and that's something, like I said, we need to do well tonight against a team that turns up pucks very well, creates a lot of stuff off the rush, and has a lot of deadly firepower up front. So just got to make sure we stay consistent in that effort. Our back check has been great the last couple of games to help our D's gap, and we just got to make sure we keep doing all that stuff to keep going forward and keep winning.
Auston, what do you remember most about that first game against Vegas?
Well, it wasn't too long ago, so I think that was a time still trying to find our game a little bit. Came out a little bit flat. I think we've made a lot of progress in the last couple of weeks since that game, so obviously it's going to present another really good challenge for us. Obviously coming off a good week here and getting some big wins over some good teams, so just want to carry that momentum and be ready to go tonight.
Where's the change come from last game?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's obviously not an easy league. I think you got to go through adversity at times, and sometimes it hits you earlier or harder than you'd expect. And I mean, that's all fine. You got to kind of roll with the punches and go with the flow and figure it out along the way, and just put in the work and try to kind of crawl out of it. So I thought last week, our play took a big step. Obviously, getting some big wins, and we just want to carry that momentum, continue to put in the work every day, and get better, and just go out and play.
What does the weekend's success do for the psyche of the group, beating a good team in Boston and a really difficult back-to-back right against a good team?
I mean, I think it gives everybody confidence, which is a good thing, and but also I think it's just a reminder of how good we need to be, and to compete and play against top teams, we have to make sure that we bring in our A game every night and make sure we're doing the right things that make us successful.
Sheldon making a switch, obviously, on your line with Kirk back up there. Why do you think maybe you, Michael, and Mitch haven't clicked quite as well as you did down the stretch last season?
I'm not sure. I mean, honestly, sometimes those things take time, and maybe you just get away from things that made you successful. But I think we've had some really good chances, some really quality opportunities, and I think throughout our lineup we've got guys that can kind of play all over, and so I'm pretty comfortable playing with whoever, and whoever it is that we're going out there with, try to produce and obviously gain momentum on our side.
Sheldon made it clear that he wants to keep you and Mitch together as long as possible, just because of the amazing chemistry you had last year. What does it mean to you that even as he's gone through ups and downs this season, he's kept you guys united?
Yeah, I mean that's fine. Like I said, I mean I don't. It doesn't really matter who we play with, but obviously Mitch is an extremely special player, and I enjoy playing with him. I think he's just a blast to be around, and obviously he's an incredible player in person to play with. So we have a lot of fun out there, and like I said, regardless of who we're going out there with, just trying to compete and obviously do well on both sides of the puck.
What do you know about the new goalie?
Keith, he's great. I mean, he's a little quiet so far, but obviously that video we saw the other night was pretty cool, and just a really, I'm sure, fast 48 hours for him, but obviously really exciting. So we're pumped to have him here, and hopefully we'll get him going a little bit, opening up a bit, and see where it goes.
What do you think of the player of the game belt, and what does that post-win tradition do for a group, do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I'm a fan of it. It's been a couple games now we've been doing it, so I think it's always fun to do something at the end of the game just to kind of recognize somebody or a group of guys or a play in the game. So I like UFC, so the belt aspect of it's pretty cool to me. So
Morgan was saying it's the real thing. Is there a bit of heft to it, also?
I haven't touched it yet, but yeah, it looks like a pretty legit belt. It's definitely not the first one we've had, like belt we've had around. Obviously, we've had it for different things and such throughout the years, but yeah, I don't know where we're getting these things from, but they're pretty legit.
Were you a wrestling fan growing up? I know you're UFC now.
Not really. Yeah, not really.
Is it like the Stanley Cup? You can't touch it unless you win it?
I just haven't got my hands on it yet. I don't know. We'll see.
So did it start that Tuesday game when John had the hat trick?
It might have been before that. Honestly,
Okay.
I'm not
All right.
completely sure. It wasn't the first game of the year, but it wasn't in the last week or so. It was probably somewhere in between.
Does Justin getting it the other day show what he means to the group in the room? He takes a lot of, how shall we say? Heat is the word from outside, but inside clearly the group appreciates the role that he plays.
Yeah, we love Holler. I mean, his demeanor never really changes. I think, there's a reason he got the belt. I mean, he played great the other night. Had some big blocks for us and just played his role to the best that he can. And that's all we really ask for him. So I thought he played really well the other night. And despite the heat or whatever you guys are talking about, I don't think that stuff really gets to him or bothers him. I think he just tries to go out there and play the same every night.
What can you tell us about Samsonov's status?
He's feeling pretty good, all things considered. He went on the ice today to kind of test it out and see how he is, and he's not he's not full go or anything like that, but felt good. But he's not going to be available for us this week, so I mean the timeline is uncertain. But we call it week to week at this point. But the fact he's on the ice today and feeling good enough to do that is an encouraging sign.
And all about Matt Murray.
Murray got to the skate, a long day today for him, lots of work. It's the first time, being in one of our practice settings, and I'm told physically he feels good. Just going to continue to monitor that and see how that goes. The plan would be for tomorrow for his first full practice, and of course that's a big milestone for him to get through in his recovery. But physically he feels good and strong. It's just a matter of building him back up towards seeing shots and pucks from guys in a practice setting.
So you ended up keeping part of the changes from Sunday and then putting obviously the other guys back together. What walk us through the process, why you went that way?
A few different things, but a lot of it, frankly, is just how I feel best set up for us to compete in the game tonight and against this opponent. And we played them obviously not long ago, and had a sense of what didn't work in that game, and wanted to try some different things here. Being on home ice and controlling last change and things like that a little bit differently. I just like that. This setup here, and it's the way it works is a bit of a hybrid of what we did the other night, but it's more of a reflection of how I want the line set up for today's game against this team.
When you look at your opponent, why do you think Vegas has had so much success this season?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing is, I guess you would probably say they're healthy is a big one. I mean, I don't think anyone has ever felt that you're going to be in for an easy night when you're playing against Vegas. I mean, since they've come into the league, they've been an elite team. Last season it got away on them a little bit, but that's never changed. I don't think anybody's impression of their team. But so I think their defense is as deep and as good as any team in the league. Obviously, the group has responded to Bruce coming in there and the system that he's put in. They've always been a team that's extremely dangerous in transition on the rush, and that has been the case, especially with all their guns in the lineup there. So I think all that stuff coming together for them has put them really back where everybody, I think, would say they belong, and that's where they've essentially been, which is that you're never going to have an easy game against them.
How are you finding Nick is handling the in and out nature of his status right now, Sheldon? Part and parcel of being that age, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's an age thing; it's a performance thing. I think it's. Yeah. I think that's part of the growth of a young player to really establish himself in the league, right? I mean, we've talked about it a lot as we've gone through, we've had a lot of players moving in and out of the lineup and such, and I've been asked the question, like, what are you sort of looking for different players there? I'm looking for a guy to step up and really grab a hold of it, right? And that Dennis Malgin's game the other night is a terrific example of a player who just goes out, and has one of those nights where it's, where if I came in today and told you Dennis Malgin was going to be out, I would be stupid, and it would be obvious to everyone that I would be stupid there. And that's what you're looking for is a player to make it obvious that they belong, that they're there, and they're making an impact. Sometimes it's offensively, sometimes it's defensively, sometimes it's a bit of both. So that's really what you're looking for any of these guys that are moving in and out of the lineup. And then once that happens, you start to get traction, and then your spot is there, and off you go. So, to me, Nick hasn't been able to do that here yet. So that's part of the process, and he's had great moments inside of every game that he's played. We're just looking, for it to really come together for him the way that it did in preseason. It hasn't been as easy for him, and that's part of the challenge. But again, playing this team here tonight that he's played against, and second time around for him, so he'll see how he grows inside of that, and still like a lot of his jump and his skill and his ability to shoot the puck in the net for us, and that's why we wanted to keep him in tonight.
Like you said, Vegas has had good players ever since they came into the league, but how does an elite player like Jack Eichel and a healthy Jack Eichel really transform and make them different? Well,
it gives them that threat. I mean, if there's one thing that they clearly have addressed and talked about themselves is that they didn't have that number one center, I guess, if you'd call it that, and that changes a lot of things. That's a very important thing. Kind of rounds it all, brings it all together for them and rounds out their lineup. He's a dynamic guy. He's a load to play against on both sides of the puck because of the size and the speed that he has, and he's a game breaker. So, and then in addition to that, he fits right into like the pace and this transition speed that this team has had and it has been known for. So, all those elements make a big difference for sure.
Why do you think Malgin's worked on that camp line? Are you at all surprised? I think because a lot of people might see him more as a top six guy. He's going to stick.
Yeah. I mean, surprise isn't really the right word, but yeah, we approached it coming in that he was a guy that was kind of competing with Robertson, frankly, for a spot in that top six, and that didn't work out quite the way we wanted it to. So we gave this a shot, and I talked to Dennis just about, hey, this is the opportunity, this is what's there, and take advantage of it. You don't need to necessarily change your game or anything like that, but you got to find a role on this team, and he was all about it. Really just wanted to play on our team and get a chance to be in the lineup and play. So in terms of what's worked for him, I think if anything from what I've seen is, he's got two guys extremely responsible for him in camp, and Auston Reese. And I think, and I don't want to speak for him, but if in my mind, I look at it as a guy that has sort of taken hold of a line offensively, and he's taken charge of it and making a difference that way. So, I thought, I look at the other night, it's a game that he's playing. It's a back-to-back game. It's against one of the teams that's as hard as any team to play against in the league. We're on the road. He's our game time decision going into that game. We weren't even sure if he was going to go in that game. And he, to me, dominated the game when he was out there, and that's not an easy thing to do. So just when you're playing with that confidence and the skill that he doesn't get enough credit for how competitive he is on the puck as well, and he's a strong guy for his size. And again, that's as tough a game as you're going to find on the schedule in the regular season, and for him to have that type of performance, you're certainly taking notice of it. I think no matter what line he's on, playing like that, he's going to have success.
Was it an illness or was it a banged up type thing that made him a game time decision?
Yeah, he's banged up a bit, but he seems to be bouncing back pretty quickly from it.
Why hasn't it clicked for Bunting beside Matthews and Marner like last year to the point where you'd be like, I can't take him off that line?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. Obviously we've tried to give it some time to work through that, and Bunce is still he's competing his ass off out there. He's involved in everything. It's not that part of it. It's just hasn't come together both for he and his line mates. So a little bit of change in the chemistry here today. A little bit change in responsibility. It's sort of not unlike the way it was last year, to be honest. I mean, he didn't start on that line. He earned his way on that line. He played lower in the lineup, kind of found his own game. So, taking a little bit of a step back here and try to give him that opportunity to just focus on himself, maybe a little bit of a lighter load in terms of matchups and responsibility. And we've done this previously this season, and it didn't last long before we moved him back. And I suspect it'll be similar. But I think it is important for him to just, kind of reset a little bit in terms of his process and what he has to think about or worry about when he's playing.